My name is Jeffery Galli, and I've fought Polearm for the U.S. team for several years now. I've been asked by a lot of fighters around the world for some instruction, so some friends of mine we're going to make a video together, an instructional video. I'm going to start out with the body mechanics, with an exercise I consider to be absolutely paramount in understanding speed, power, and accuracy, and having it flow through your body effortlessly so you do not wear yourself out. After I explain the exercise and all the subtlety of it, I'm going to move on to the practical application and show you how power is made using that exercise, using that understanding of your body and your center. After that, we're going to be dealing with your opponent's offense. Now, the reason I say we're not going to be dealing with defense is I don't particularly believe in defense. Defense with a polearm can get you hit or tricked. I prefer dealing with the offense and turning it, using their energy, their offense to your advantage. After that, we're going to go into the common do's and most certainly the don'ts, and there are plenty of them I've seen. All right, let's get started. All right, here's the first exercise. This exercise is very subtle. You have to pay attention. You have to do it perfectly. If you can do it perfectly, you will master the timing of your body with the weapon, right? They're going to become one. Your feet are shoulder width and half apart at least. Your knees are always bent 100% of the time. You're going to move your hips this way and this way, all right? Your hips are going to basically be doing, or imagine a marble running around into an infinity sign, like an 8, with a little warble in it. That's essentially, if you think about it that way, you might be able to feel how exactly you're going to move your hips. Your hips and your shoulders are always in line with each other. So many people make this mistake of moving their hip like this and then following with their shoulder. Huge mistake, and you've lost all of your power. Hips and shoulders are always in line with each other. These movements are small. They're subtle and small. You're going to begin by collapsing this knee, and then the hip follows the knee. So you're going to collapse this knee, this hip comes this way, this hip comes this way. Now you've made your power. You're going to release the power, and as you release it, as you've made it, this hip's going to come back, this hip's going to come forward to meet it, and you're going to bring that weapon back. You're going to control every aspect, the return and the strike, with your center. One of the common mistakes is people straightening their leg out on either end. This is an absolute no. What you're doing here is committing all of your energy to one side. You can easily be knocked over. You have no real control here except for the muscles in your arm and shoulder. You don't want to be using the muscles in your arm and shoulder. You want to feel energy coming from here, through your body, into the weapon, and then into your opponent's head or body. You're creating the power, you release it. You create the power, you release it. You create the power, you release it. It is that simple. Knees are always bent. If they ever straighten out, you're not doing it correctly. The feet are always going forward. You always have your head up. Your shoulders and hips are always in line. Your eyes are at their eye level, right? So you always keep your opponent in your center. You want to not be in their center, but you want them in yours. All right, besides the fact that it's hot as hell in this hangar, train without a shirt so you can see the body moving. I suggest this when you're doing it too, or somebody's coaching somebody, you can really see without a bunch of bulky clothes on what's going on. So here's the movement. The glaive has got to wind up in the same place on your back every time. Here's it from the side. You'll notice your spine is straight up. Your shoulders do not go here. They do not come back. Right? They just stay in line with your hips. Very subtle movement. You can do this very slowly, which I suggest. I suggest doing it very slowly at first. It's more difficult, and slowly going faster. And then you'll be able to move as well. So you'll be here and you'll see where you're allowed to move, because the weapon will carry you through. Of course, you're not going to fight like this. This exercise is primarily for you to understand the timing and how the energy is going to flow through your body and into the opponent. Now, next I will give a practical demonstration of power and accuracy. Alright, for the practical application, what this allows you to do is stay centered and use very little motion to create a lot of power. And what I've seen a lot of guys do is this Hassan chop, and they throw their whole center off, right? You don't need to do that to create a lot of power. So I'm going to demonstrate you can create enough power from right here, just maybe a foot, 6 inches from the guy's head or body, right? So you're going to make that, again, the same mechanics. So the weapon is not going to move relative to your body very much at all until the impact. So I'll be here and pretend this is their head, right? And let's even get closer. And this is just a piece of very flexible rattan. You notice that I'm centered. I'm striking. My hands are loose, right? You're never gripping the weapon very hard. You do not draw it down with your muscles. That would wear you out, and it's slow. Tight muscles are slow. Stay very loose. Your hands are loose, right? I'm going to strike. My hands get tight right at the second of impact. I've made the power right before impact. My hip comes back, which allows me to stay centered. Instead of this, where now I'm exposed and my center is facing away from my opponent, I'm doing this. And now I'm still centered on my opponent. All right? And from here as well, since you are centered, now you can move into disarms and such, but still, you're controlling, your arm's only a guide, you're controlling from your center. As you come closer to your opponent, your stance gets wider, you get lower and more stable. Now you can try for some disarms and such. That's all techniques that you can learn from various manuals, which I haven't studied yet, I'd really like to. The key is to have an absolute understanding of the weapon, power, and timing. And that's what this video is about. So, once again, stand over here on the side. Do it from the other angle. If that's your opponent, I'm even right here, and it's very quick. And see, I'm not stopping, I'm not slapping him, I'm driving through, but all the power is going into the opponent. And then I'm coming back. I'm going to do it very slowly, so it's here, bam, and then I'm coming back. Now I'm ready to hit fire again. Rather than this, and then a huge amount of effort used to regain the weapon and come down again. It's just here. I strike, it's coming back. I'm ready to strike again with just as much power, and move. Or I'm ready to move in because I'm still centered. All right? That's a practical application. Next, we're going to do using your opponent's offense against them. All right. So now we're going to bring it into a fighting environment. We're going to do slow work here. With your feet, you're not going to have them in a horse stance like the exercise at all. That's only to teach you the timing of your weapon and body. You're going to have one foot, either one, it does not matter, forward and the other one back. It'll matter depending on which way you hold your weapon and how your opponent is facing you. So your front foot should be a little pigeon-toed so it's coming in, and if you can, do the same with your back one. All right? This position will allow you to move forwards, backwards, side to side. You want the toe of your back foot to be pretty much even with the heel of your front foot. All right, so you're here. Can you see my feet? You're here. Now I can collapse my knee, so I don't start a step that way by lifting up and walking. I do it by collapsing and pushing. Much faster. Much, much faster. And your opponent won't see it happening. right? Whereas if I lift up to walk, they're going to see it happen. All right, so you're going to collapse your knee, you're going to move that direction. The nice thing about this is it's not great at any one thing, but you can go forwards, right? You can go backwards, and you can go side to side. Whereas if you're in a fencing stance, like I've seen a lot of guys do, it would be great if we could thrust. You're giving a small target. Well, what's the point? We're not thrusting. And anyone can knock you over laterally. Right? So you don't want a fencing stance. You don't want to be square like this, which is the next most common stance, because they can just knock you back because you get your shoulders over your hips. Get shoulders and head over hips, you're going down. You're just going to go down. So, that's your stance. Right? Another thing we see is the wide grips. The wide grips at distance. As you try to make a strike with a wide grip, you're totally limiting where that weapon can go. You're limiting your body. If you need to get to them, now you force it, you're really going off your center. Right? So your hands have got to move. So at distance, just let it slide down the weapon. Your hands are loose on the weapon until impact. Right? And the same thing with your bottom hand. So if I'm at distance, and I'm going to strike, we're both in the same position. I usually bisect my face. You can hold this weapon any way. There isn't the way of holding your weapon. All depends on the situation. So work with them all. I usually bisect my face a lot of the time. Try to tuck your arms in. Learn that lesson the hard way. And if you're going to fire at distance, go ahead and fire distance. You're going to choke up on the weapon. If they're coming in close, you want power, and you want to know where your head, your striking edge is, so you're going to choke up. Okay, so if I'm closing in, boom, I take something. Now I have a big advantage over him because I'm in the middle of my weapon, right? I've got back blades, I've got sweeps, I've got these things. I'm controlling everything with my center, right? I'll push the weapon down. So, we'll just give you some common strikes and counters, okay? So, a common strike, guys are like this, and they're just waving at each other, trading blows. You do not want to trade blows. Do not trade blows. You do not have to. Do not be defensive. Turn your defense into offense. So as they come down with a blow, you can do a hard block, and then wait for them to recover, and you strike, block, block, strike. And they block, and you just do this kind of thing. And just wear yourselves out. You don't have to do that. They come in, you have several options, right? I'm going to use the power that they've made to either let it go by, you got bang, crack, whatever. Or I can step into it and come back, but my weapon is controlled by my center. We're going to do it from the other side. This is coming in, I can do a hard block, right? But I'm going to let that power pass through. So if it comes here, I can do this by letting the power hit me, or I can let it go by and do this. You just don't want to take his offense. You want to change his attack into your attack every time. I can also, as I'm out here, let's say he strikes, and I'm here at a distance shot, but he beat me to the shot. So I'm coming here. Now I'm going to be inside of him. See, my hands are loose. This hand gets tight. I'm coming around. You can do, now I have strikes. I also have disarms. Come straight down, right? Do it from the other side. So all these are techniques. You can learn them from the manuals, which I haven't learned from yet. I really want to. The key is controlling with your center. From that first exercise is the most important thing. Because if somebody is using their arms while you're using your center, here I am using my center, I will always outpower them. Right? This is all I'm doing while he's fighting me with his arms. My whole body is taking on his arm. He doesn't stand a chance, no matter how big he is, no matter how strong he is. If you can get in there and take it. Right? So let it go by. A little Aikido work. Right? Just let that power go by you. Don't trade blows. Okay. All right. And the next thing is a check. Right? So as you're coming in, You don't want to be square, somebody checks you, you're going on your ass. Alexei Navarov from Russia, there's incredible athletes. Bam! Like guys are just right on their backs. With all that force he generates against the head and shoulders moving backward. So as someone has a check, and they're here, they're a big guy, and they're going to generally wait till they're close and check right into your chest or head. Absorb that, right? Don't fight it, because fighting it is going to get you stuck. Absorb it, bring it into your body, into your weapon, and back into them. So they're going to shoot, they're going to push, and you're going to bam, right? Agree with them. Agree with emotion. Agree with what they're doing. He hits, he pushes, bam. You can jump back. If you give me a really good push, and I fly back. But I'm not going to stay there. I'm going to go bam. Always let the energy come back into an offensive move. Okay, other side. It's coming in. He pushes me. Bam. You just use that energy. It comes in through my weapon. Look at my body is not, my weapon is not moving relative to my body. The guys who are doing this are exhausted. If you're just doing this, you're not going to get exhausted. I mean, it's hard, but you'll hit harder and faster and not wear yourself out. You're not using as many muscles, and you're not taking as much time. Okay. It's trying to get the idea of controlling your weapon from your center. That's the important part, not a bunch of tricks. You can learn your tricks and techniques as you progress and evolve through the sport with your team. That's the best way to do it. So, here are some definite don'ts. No matter what, these don't generally work. One is the power chop, like you're chopping wood. You're not fighting a log, all right? So he's coming down, enormous amount of energy. You'd have to be blind not to see it coming. So you would generally step out of the way when you see it coming, and then you have them dead to rights, right? And then you have to take an enormous amount of time to recover this weapon, where you would get on them, probably disarm them, and beat the holy hell out of them. Do not do this. The whole point of learning this is you'll make just as much power as you would with this. I know it sounds ridiculous, but it isn't. We had Christopher Wimmer, who's being our cameraman right now, is 309 pounds, hitting up hell. Not quite knowing how to use this technique, and just moving it a little bit. And then we had Dmitry Ryaboy, who was 178 pounds, hit it and knock it right down. Not this one, it was a much more difficult hell to knock down. Knocked it down to the floor. So you do not need to do these huge motions to create power. That'll wear you out and it's slow. All right, the next thing, very important, do not look at the weapon. Right? If I'm staring at the weapon, I can be tricked, right? So I'll get him to stare at my weapon. He's looking up, I'm coming down, right? Yeah, you just look with your eyes, kind of look like a bird. So you're here, right? Now he's opening himself up to so many attacks with kicks. It's a feint here to a shot here and a disarm, right? Do not look at the weapon. Unfocus your eyes and just feel the entire fight. Imagine your opponent as a silhouette, right? And just their whole body as a target. Do not stare at the weapon. You will be tricked by the better fighters. There's no point in it. You don't need to. All you need to control is the space around you. Control the space around you. If something's coming into it, that's what you have to worry about. You don't have to worry about somebody doing this or jumping around. Let them waste their energy. It doesn't matter. It will not affect you. All right, and you had some, was there another one? Oh, yes, don't be square when you're coming in for the attack, because somebody can quite easily knock you backwards, right? So always have one foot behind the other relative to your attack and how your opponent is, and always keep them in your center. Your head's always up, your eyes are always looking at them. Do not turn your head away with an attack. And turn your head here. Never. Always. Even if you're going down, your head is up and on them. Right? You stay balanced. Try to get back to your balance as soon as possible. Okay, so you've noticed some things in fighting. Let's Let's hear what you see most.
So, Jeff, what do I do when I get close to? What do I do when I'm in a melee or in singles and I get close to my polearm to be effective still?
Right, so a lot of guys come in with a polearm and they keep the polearm out here, right, as you close, which really doesn't give them any offense. So as they're coming, as someone's coming in, you're going to get to the middle of your polearm, know where your blade is, right? Know where the bottom is. Now I have a lot more options. So go ahead and make an attack slowly. So he's coming in. Now I'm in close. I have his head right here. Always the shortest distance between the target and the weapon, right? So I'll move my back foot or my front foot, depending on how the fight's going. I'm absorbing the shot right into his side here. What's the next best thing? I could pull back again, but he could probably block it. So I'm still riding his weapon. Riding the opponent's weapon is extremely important while you're playing the inside game. So I've struck once. So pretend you're actually fighting me. I'm on his weapon, right? Don't let that weapon go. Now I get to his back. I can strike back to him. It doesn't matter he has my back because I have his weapon. So that doesn't matter. I can move around. I keep his weapon. Now I have all sorts of disarm options. Right? All I have to, because I have the other end of my weapon, ready to go. So you keep them confused. Now I'm making an attack. It's always the fastest attack. Now you can defend yourself, right? But yeah, try to hit me. Try to do his head. Now he opened up again. I have this between me and him. He has his back here trying to get a shot. I'm not worried about it. I'm just riding his weapon, just continue a fight. I'll try to do this fight. So I'm not worried about that. Bam. 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 He's on his back, right? His shoulders went back. I'm still stationed. Be calm. Okay, come on in. So he's here. He looked down. That left him open. As soon as you look down, I have the shot there. Always you have your head up. Always have this defending you. So you have an offense here. It's not choked up. Choke up. Choke up. Look at it. Man, that was flat. I control everything with your. See, so I'm making every motion an attack. If it's not an attack on his body to gain a point, it's an attack on his weapon to gain control. So, yeah, nice. I moved in. He was trying to do something here. I just moved into it. Take it away. Bam, back into it. I'm on his weapon. Even if he doesn't go back, if he has a much better center, you get this down in between, right? It happened so quickly. People generally don't know what happened. If it was an accident. Oh, I dropped my weapon. You didn't drop your weapon. It was taken from you. It's just a matter of keeping your head about you. If you're in close, go to your blade or near your blade so you know where it is. Get the bottom of your weapon in play. You want everything in play. All right? Does that answer your question? Mm-hmm. All right. So, we'll do a quick review. Again, this is a very basic instructional. The exercise is this, which I cannot stress enough. It's so important. You're not using your muscles to move this around. You're using your center. You're controlling it ultimately from your center. Chris, can you go grab a sword? Right? And now, when you're fighting, your stance is going to change to one foot. The toe of your rear foot is going to be at the heel of your front foot, right? And don't move around as you feel comfortable. You don't put your hips, your toes facing outward, because now you limit your hip movement, right? Bring them in, and you have much more movement, right? Much more power. Shoulders and hips are always in line. A real sword. There's one in my bag. All right? Extremely important, right? Stay focused, stay calm. You're making the power, you're letting it go. Making the power, letting it go. If you have any questions, just ask me. I'll teach anything I know. All these things I learned from Paul Porter, and I changed it a little bit with the back hip. And I'm going to show you something. Here, come here. Hold that upside down now. So, proper mechanics, let it go. Just hold it down there. Proper mechanics, right? So it's exactly the same with a sword. If I want to hit fast, I'm going to keep this with centrifugal force next to my body. This is all you need to make a devastating, powerful blow, right? Instead of out here hacking with your arm, ruining your shoulder and elbows. And I tell you guys, after 20 years of fighting, you can, with bad technique, you can really hurt yourself. So keep everything loose, arms loose, everything, and it's the same exact motion. I made it, I release the power, and it comes back. Very powerful. I should not be able to hit this thing with any power whatsoever. My arm's straight out here. This is just a demonstration that your core energy controls your weapon. It does. It's not some woohoo mojo. It's reality, right? So I'm going to move my body. I suggest working with your weapon with closed eyes, dancing with it so you feel its motion. So what's it going to do when my hips do this? What's it going to do when my hips do that? Right? So it's moving. And I'm going to try to hit this with a back blade. Pretty good hit. For just not using any, obviously I can't use my muscles. I'm not doing this. That's all with your center. The power's going up and down, and you'll start to feel where that energy is on your weapon as it flows up your sword, as it flows up and down your axe or your blade. Okay? Right? And it's that simple. It's these small motions. It's not some huge powerhouse. It's just this small motion. All right. I hope that helps. Any questions? Hit me up when you see me. And again, I don't claim to know a ton, but I know this exercise really will help anybody in their polearm fighting. And there are lots of wonderful teachers out there to learn from. And if you have anything to show me, please, 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 I'd love to learn from everybody. Hit me up and let's all work on it together. All right. From Ursus Fight Club. All right, well, thanks. I hope this video helped out. And it's just a basic instructional video. I'm sure you can add anything from the manuals you might learn or from each other. That's the best thing to do. It's basically how we use the analogy. It's an engine block and you put all the cool stuff on top of it. It's just, the exercise is just a way to understand your body and how it works with weapons and to create a lot of power and accuracy without a lot of work, with hardly any work. All right, if you have any suggestions or questions, you can find me on Facebook, Jeffery Galli, or Ursus Fight Club. There'll be contact information at the end of the video. All right, I hope this helped. And if you have something to teach me, please let me know or hit me up at one of the tournaments. I'd love to exchange information. And polearm fighting is a special group of guys. And I haven't met one I didn't like yet. So signing off. Thanks, guys. Take care.